welcome back to my channel. Okay, so I have made now since yesterday 2 videos about this stimulus COVID relief bill that really isn't a COVID relief bill. I made a video yesterday morning, and then yesterday afternoon/evening, President Trump went on Twitter Live and gave a speech where he basically outed what was in this bill, even more stuff than what I listed off in my video yesterday. So before we get into what we're going to talk about in this video, which is discussing and giving you guys the details on what is next, because I want to make sure you understand what is happening here, I'm going to go through not only some of the stuff that President Trump mentioned, but even more ridiculous stuff that I have now found out about, which just makes me sick to my stomach. So really quick, let's do a quick recap. Now, I'm not going to mention any of the stuff that I listed off yesterday. You guys can go to that video, I'll link it below, and watch that. But let's get started with all the other lovely items that are in this bill. Okay, first off, can we just question for a second why some of this stuff is in here when none of it has anything to do with COVID relief? Second of all, take notes, because when your kids ask why they didn't get Christmas presents, you can tell them it's because the government would like to give $7 million for reef fish management. They would also like to give $25 million to combat Asian carp. They would also like to give $2.5 million to count the number of amberjack fish in the Gulf of Mexico. What the hell is that? Okay, I don't know about you, but I'm about to go update my LinkedIn profile to put that I am a certified amberjack fish counter, okay? Because if you got $2.5 million in the bill just for that, whoever's doing that job is making a damn good salary. And you know what? I consider myself a jack of all trades, and I'm willing to learn. So yeah, that really made me laugh. But you know, the other thing was there's a very a large fish theme in this bill, and I don't understand it. Maybe because it stinks. Anyways, let's keep going. There's provisions to promote the breeding of fish in hatcheries, in federal hatcheries. $3 million in poultry production technology. Who knew that there's technology involved in poultry production? $2 million to research the impact of fallen trees, because apparently people care why trees fall. Okay, I always thought that it was a natural thing that happens in nature. Maybe not, maybe I'm wrong, but do we really care at this point in time why trees are falling? I don't. $566 million for construction projects at the FBI. Okay, in my opinion, there's so much shadiness going on at the FBI. They should have empty office space, okay, with the cleanup they got to do over there. So I don't know why we're adding to the FBI. $35 million for sexual abstinence programs, which that was really, really interesting to me. If you follow me on Instagram, I actually posted a screenshot of a curriculum that I was sent by somebody whose child is actually in the middle of going through one of those sex ed courses in their high school. And they had things like talking about anal sex, rough play, bondage. So it's very interesting to me that the federal government wants to put $35 million into programs for sexual abstinence. Now, I love sexual abstinence for our youth, but it just doesn't add up with everything else that we're seeing. There's going to be tax credits for the wind industry, also tax credits for the motorsport industry. So that's things like NASCAR. A bill will also, there is a bill that will also create a committee to regulate the use of performance-enhancing drugs for racehorses. So there's going to be a committee of people that are going to have their sole job will be to regulate the use of performance-enhancing drugs for racehorses. I don't know about you, but I don't think there's any racehorses going on right now, but I may be wrong. And then finally, I think the one that everybody has kind of heard about by now, but they are going to make the streaming of like copyrighted material illegal if you don't have the right to do so. So like, for instance, those sites on YouTube that stream movies, or those like hidden servers, like where people, you know, upload and stream movies, that's going to be made a felony. Now, this is the one that should really get your blood boiling. They have put in $1,800 each for illegal aliens, and that would be their stimulus check. So tell me why an illegal alien is going to get, a non-citizen of the United States is going to get more money than an American citizen. In what world does that make sense? Now, one might ask themselves, okay, and we all know that they, you know, had very little time to review this bill because of the way that it was, you know, passed out as far as the time frame that they had to review it, but also the size of it. It was almost 6,000 pages. But I did find out this morning watching an interview with Rand Paul that only 8 Republicans voted against the bill. Now that's very, very concerning to me. I don't know if they were just like giving up or what, but it's interesting because I think people need to realize that just because somebody has an R, or they are a Republican, or they call themselves a conservative, doesn't mean they have our best interests at heart. What I would like to know is, who are the other people that voted for this bill? And those people need to be hung up by their toenails. Okay, they need to be fired immediately, and maybe we can recoup some of the money that we're losing in this bill with their salaries, because that is ridiculous. Okay, now Nancy Pelosi, good old Nance, fancy Nancy, okay, she immediately responded to President Trump's video, okay, and said, oh, well, sure, we're happy to discuss, you know, making the check amounts $2,000, which immediately people were like, oh, see, Nancy's not that bad. She's willing to talk about it. She's willing to negotiate. But pay attention, people. She didn't say she's willing to remove any of the stuff that is in this bill, any of the pork that is in this bill, okay? In fact, in that interview with Rand Paul that I saw on Fox, he said, in reality, in order for them, you know, typically to increase the stimulus check amount to the American people, it is going to increase in more money needing to be added. Therefore, you know, making the bill bigger, that's going to be more money that we have to pay back. And, you know, he's going to sit around and wait and see if they do, in fact, remove any of, you know, the, you know, foreign aid and special interest items that they have in this bill. He really, you know, because he's been in this game for a long time, doesn't feel like that's going to happen, okay? Now, the other thing that Nancy Pelosi stated is that she claims President Trump never gave them direction on how much he wanted the actual stimulus checks to be. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, she's full of shit, and if you believe what she's saying, listen to this, okay? On August 14th, President Trump tweeted, and I'm going to put it up here because I'm not going to read it verbatim. I don't have the verbatim in front of me, but he tweeted and sent it and like added Steve Mnuchin in the tweet that he wanted $3,400 for a family of 4. Okay, that was August 14th. And then they kept going back and forth and, you know, going on vacation and taking breaks and whatever they were doing. And then President Trump said, enough is enough. I'm putting an end to this. No more talking about it. No more stimulus. It's over. Okay. That's when he sent one final tweet. This was on October 6th. And he tweeted, Nancy, are you listening? I want a standalone bill for $1,200 and I will sign it immediately. He ended it with, are you listening, Nancy Pelosi? Well, she never responded to that, but she basically tricked everybody and said, okay, we'll go back and we'll talk about it and we'll try to get a bill. And that's where we have been up until this point. So what Nancy is saying, that she just kind of like, oh, I'm just going to play dumb. And I didn't know that that's what he wanted. If I would have known, I would have put more money in there. Bullshit, okay? Do you remember back when President Trump gave the stimulus, the initial stimulus, okay, that we got, Nancy had a lot to say about that. And she was like, well, that's not enough. And that's a slap in the face to the American people. But she doesn't seem to think that $600 is a slap in the face to us. She doesn't seem to think that $1,800 going to illegal aliens in the form of a stimulus is a slap in the face to us. It's ridiculous. And then this morning, she made some, I'm going to put it up here again because I don't have the exact wording, but she made some ignorant statement that, she's going to drag President Trump out of the White House by his hair, his tiny little hands, and his feet. Bitch, I wish you would, okay? I want to see that. I would pay for that. That should be a pay-per-view. I wish you would excuse my language, but it has to be said. So here's where we stand right now. In my previous video title, I mistakenly said that President Trump vetoed this bill when in fact it was not an actual veto, it was an indirect veto. It is what is called a pocket veto. Now what a pocket veto is, and I had never heard of this before, so I had to look it up, but it's basically the president deciding he's not going to sign it. So he's not saying I'm vetoing this, he's saying I'm just not going to sign it. Congress does have the opportunity to override and basically essentially go back and vote again, which it sounds like that's what they're trying to do. Now, if he did not veto this directly, okay, and he does nothing, within 10 days, the bill will pass automatically without the president's signature. So obviously we don't want that, and we don't think that President Trump is just going to be like, I'm not going to do anything. I don't know, okay? This would definitely upset the politicians because what this means for them, if he does this, is that they would not be able to adjourn for 10 days, and this is going to cut into their vacation time, which I could care less about their vacation time, to tell you the honest truth. Now, if the House or Senate say, screw this, we're going to adjourn anyways, the bill will automatically die. It'll be done with. This will then result in the government basically shutting down, because at this very moment, the government is only funded for the next few days. So when there is a government shutdown, things that are considered non-essential functions of the government completely shut down. Now, things like military, police, like things that keep law and order in place, those things remain functioning, but everything else shuts down, okay? So that's where we are at right now. Now, what does this mean? What's the game? What's the end game that President Trump is trying to play? Or what's the end game that the politicians are trying to play? I don't know. I don't see that yet. I think that they knew damn well that President Trump wasn't going to sign this bill. And if they didn't know, they're stupider than I thought. If they thought that he was just going to take this bill and sign it. But at the same time, I don't know, maybe he knows some, intricate details in this pocket veto that I personally don't know. I mean, I wouldn't put it past him, that his lawyers don't know the ins and outs and what they can do and the timelines and all that stuff, but it will be interesting to see. Either way, I think the majority of Americans have spoken and they want nothing to do with this $600. Yes, some of them really do need the money, but $600 is not going to do much for them. So I think people are willing to hold out for something better. Now, President Trump made a very interesting closing statement at the end of that speech that he gave on Twitter yesterday. And he said, they better come to an agreement, because otherwise it's going to be left up to the next administration to put together a stimulus package. And that next administration might be me, as in him. So he threw some shade there. He definitely threw that in there, and you were just like, ooh, he did not just say that. Yes, he did just say that. He did just say that. So, there's something interesting there. Does he know something we don't know? Biden has already made it clear that even if this stimulus package got passed, he was going to immediately put together another stimulus for the American people. So we already know how that's going to go. But the Georgia runoff is going to be very, very important in that, because, if the Republicans control the House and Senate and President Trump stays in office, even if President Trump doesn't stay in office, it's going to make things very difficult for Biden to get what he wants. So Lots of interesting stuff. I think this is, hopefully I explained it to you guys as simple as possible, because I know that, there's a lot of intricacies in this and it can be very, very confusing. But let me know what you think in the comments box below. If you have any questions or anything that you want me to expand on more, just let me know and I'll do my best to research it and get back to you with another video. Please do not forget to like this video. Please do not forget to share this video, and do not forget to subscribe to my channel. Thank you guys so much and have a good one. Bye-bye.